The film began with a text display, narrating that 16 years after the death of Marcus Aurelius, his dreams have been forgotten, but the city is set to go down as well. While the Rome Empire has been ruled by corrupt twin emperors, known as Geta and Caracalla, the scene shifted to a young man known as Lucius Verus Aurelius, living as Hanno, along with his wife Arishat. Just then, the two saw a fire burning nearby, with a loud sound indicating danger. Immediately, Hanno and his wife Arishat rushed to suit up and join their fellow warriors against General Acacius and his Roman army. The two lovers wished themselves luck and head out to prepare for war. Moments later, General Acacius and his men approached the wall while Hanno gave a motivational battle speech to motivate his warriors. In an intriguing and intense situation, the war began with first the destruction of the walls. Soon after, hundreds of arrows began flying around, killing most of Hanno's men. Lucius and his wife Arishat put up a very good battle. However, General Acacius soon spots Arishat using her bow and arrow, and he quickly commands his men to kill her. Unfortunately for Arishat, she is fatally hit with an arrow through her chest, making her fall into the ocean, while Lucius can only watch in shock before also getting knocked out into the ocean. In a supernatural way, Lucius Verus Hanno finds himself between life and death, watching Arishat joining the ferryman into the afterlife while he is quickly pulled back to life. For the last time, he found Arishat's lifeless body and gave his final goodbye. Not quite long, Lucius is enslaved alongside the surviving soldiers and citizens. They are all marked, while the city is taken. They are all taken to Ostia, and where they celebrate their recent victory. General Acacius approached Geta and Caracalla to pay his respect. General Acacius is rewarded by Geta and Caracalla. Geta informed Acacius that their next plan is to conquer Persia and then India next, although Acacius believes they should focus on the citizens of Rome. However, Geta denies Acacius time away with his wife and makes plans with Caracalla for gladiator games in the Colosseum. Lucius and his surviving people are then brought out to fight for survival in an arena which is overseen by Macrinus. Later on, they are introduced to what they are meant to fight against, which is simply against feral baboons. However, Chieftain Jabartha, who was brought in with Lucius, chooses death in the arena. Lucius soon began to fight one the baboon. He bites its arm before then strangling it to death with his chains. A man named Macrinus from the stand immediately noted this. The next day, Lucius and others are transported to a nearby place where Macrinus resides. During their meal, Lucius is praised for his bravery. Once they were done eating, they are all taken outside where Lucius finally met Macrinus in person. Macrinus arranged a fight between him and one of his gladiator trainer who goes by the name Vigo. At first, Lucius is reluctant to fight, but after being hit a couple times, he fights back before eventually winning. Macrinus is further impressing by this and his fighting skills. Macrinus and Lucius then had a conversation about the rage that Lucius lives with, and Lucius states that he has his sights set on killing Acacius. Macrinus promises he can do this if he fights hard enough in Rome. That same evening, Acacius went to his wife Lucilla and expresses his disgust after seeing how many soldiers are being sacrificed for the twin emperors, believing all of this is a waste. The scene then shifted to Macrinus, who brings Lucius to Senator Thraex's party in the city. Soon after, Senator Thraex organized a fight between Lucius and another prisoner. For their entertainment, Lucius, on the other hand, tries to stop the other man from fighting, but he ignored Lucius, and a battle began. After a long extended fight, Lucius eventually stabbed the man, which eventually eliminated him. Quickly, Geta approaches Lucius and asks him a question, trying to figure out where he's from, but Lucius only responds by saying, "The gates of hell are open night and day, smooth the descent and easy the way. But to return and view the cheerful skies, in this the task and mighty labor lies." Meanwhile, Acacius and his wife went to a meeting, where they all plan an insurrection alongside their allies like Gracchus. Lucius is then transported to the battle arena, where the gladiator games do hold. As soon as they arrived, the gladiator games began. Lucius and others brought into the Colosseum. Lucius and other gladiators are put to battle against an undefeated champion known as Glycio. The battle began, and immediately Glycio starts the business of the day by using his pet rhino to kill one of the men in a brutal manner. Soon the rest of the fighters are killed, leaving only him and Lucius on a 1v1 battle. Lucius uses his hand and packs some dirt from the ground, which Lucilla could see, making her recognize Lucius. Lucius and Glycio have a brutal fight. After a long extended fight between them, Glycio is given the upper hand at first as he kept on hitting Lucius before knocking him down, but fortunately for Lucius, Geta gives Glycio a chance to spare Lucius. However, Glycio rejects this demand. Glycio proceeded to go on with the fight with Lucius. Unfortunately for him, this only led to his death as Lucius eliminated him before getting a thumbs-down signal to decapitate Glycio. Lucius yet again continues to be praised by his men. However, Lucilla goes to her private quarters and remembers hearing the quote from Virgil, then remembers sending Lucius away into exile as a boy for his safety. In an emotional way, she realized that her long-lost son is back. Lucius received treatment from a gladiator doctor named Ravi, and they both became friends. Meanwhile, Macrinus also began to put things together regarding Lucius' origin. That same evening, Lucilla met with Lucius. She informed him that he is the son of Maximus. However, Lucius does not care to hear it and angrily orders Lucilla to leave his cell due to her sending him away when he was little from home. He also stated the fact that Acacius is also responsible for the death of Erishat. Lucilla met with Acacius to inform him that Lucius is alive, stating that she failed him and can't do such again, before asking Acacius for his help. The next day, Lucius trains very hard for hours before finally getting drained out from stress. Just then, Ravi continued to treat Lucius, and the two continue to discuss more on Lucius' life growing up. Later, Lucius joins the other gladiators in what is known as a naval battle. The battle begins, and hundreds of wild sharks are put in the water. It a trap for whoever fall into it dies. In a strategic way, Lucius leads his men into victory by destroying the other ship's oars and then ramming into them down the middle. He tries to fire his crossbow at Acacius, but unfortunately, it went right between Geta and Caracalla, which they consider this as a personal attack. Lucius is celebrated again, and just then, one of the gladiators arrived to know who shot the arrow. Fortunately for Lucius, everyone claimed it was them who shot the arrow, giving him an opportunity to be saved. Nearby, Macrinus goes to meet with Thrax in order to kick him out of his home since he owes him a very huge debt and can no longer afford to pay back. Since Thrax does have any leverage, he exposes Acacius' plans to overthrow the emperors. Macrinus collects this information and still kicked him out. Acacius is ambushed on his way to overthrow the emperor, while Lucilla is brought before Geta and Caracalla to expose their treachery. Geta, now in disbelief about what was about to happen, says their names will be forgotten and lost in history before they are imprisoned. Macrinus convinces Geta to put Lucilla in the games to watch his punishment. Ravi continues to discuss with Lucius, and we learn that he was a former slave who won his freedom after fighting in the games. Ravi showed Lucius a wall that has Maximus's name crossed off. Ravi then took Lucius to show him where Maximus' armor and sword are kept hung up privately, along with his words, "What we do in this life echoes in eternity." The next day, the game began where Acacius is punished and stripped off his position. As a punishment, Acacius is forced to fight against 4 soldiers of the Praetorian Guard. The people boo him the moment he arrives at that arena. Later on, the battle then began. Lucius easily eliminated them all in a cold way, making the people chant his name back, while Lucilla watches in deep fear. Unfortunately for Acacius, he must now fight with Lucius. Lucius arrived, making Acacius shock. The battle started and everyone watched. In an intense way, Lucius continued to hit Acacius before Acacius started to beat him. Soon after, Acacius revealed to Lucius that he knew him, before dropping his weapon and surrendering. Lucius is then ordered to finish Acacius off, but just then Acacius told him that he truly loves his mother Lucilla and even his father Maximus. Lucius then refuses to execute Acacius after hearing how he loves his mother. Immediately, Geta orders the guard to execute Acacius by firing dozens of arrows at him, which eventually killed him, while Lucilla watches in pain. Lucius then condemns their actions, telling the spectators that if this is how Rome treats its heroes, they should expect to be treated worse. Lucius leaves as they chant his name Hanno, and not Lucius. In the evening, Macrinus goes to visit Lucius in his cell to question his decision on sparing Acacius. Lucius is of the opinion on a fair way to lead Rome, but Macrinus disagrees. Just as he leaves, Lucius promised himself to see the end of Macrinus. Meanwhile, the people are beginning to riot in the streets. After Geta insults Caracalla over their different views on how to handle the matter, Macrinus talks to Caracalla in private, knowing that he feels that he always has to share everything with Geta and never has anything for himself. He convinces Caracalla to confront his brother with a dagger. So Geta tries to talk Caracalla down, but Macrinus guides his hand to slash Geta's throat before taking his head. At the prison, Lucilla meets with her son Lucius Initor to give him the ring that belonged to his grandfather. The two soon reconcile. In an emotional way, Lucius hugs his mother for the first time after a long period. Later, Caracalla takes over the throne and makes his first appointment, which was his pet monkey Dandas as his consul, while having Macrinus in a higher position of power. Macrinus presents the head of Geta to the other horrified senators to establish why he must gain even more power, forcing them to vote him to lead the Praetorian Guard. After Macrinus approached Lucilla to talk to her about his accomplishments and how her grandfather had enslaved him, and now he plans to end the imperial bloodline by becoming emperor himself. Meanwhile, Lucius goes to meet his close friend Ravi to give him the ring, informing Ravi to deliver to a general in Ostia so that his army might come to their aid. Macrinus has Caracalla put Lucilla and the other conspirators out in the Colosseum, with only Lucius to defend her. Macrinus' plan is to have the crowd riot if Lucilla is eventually killed, which would give him an opportunity to kill Caracalla and ascend to the throne. Meanwhile at the cell, Lucius learns that he must defend his mother with a wooden sword. This angers him, making him break out of his cell and killing Vigo with the wooden sword before the other slaves break out and revolt. Lucius then goes into the private room where they kept Maximus's weapon. He took his father's armor and sword before then leading the other men to take back their freedom. Lucilla is now tied up in the center of the arena while a battle then broke out, and the gladiators battle the Praetorian soldiers in the arena, leading to a full-on riot as spectators become hit with arrows and start to fight back. During this chaos, Macrinus used this opportunity to use what looked like a nail to pierce it into Carcalla's ear, killing him. Soon after, he pick up his bow and then fire an arrow into Lucilla's chest before Lucius can save his mother. Lucius witnessed this and immediately began to chase after Macrinus, who is now in his horse. Lucius chases after Macrinus and corners him right as the two armies come face to face. Leading to their final duel, Lucius and Macrinus began to fight a serious battle. Macrinus overpowers Lucius. He began stabbing Lucius continuously in the chest but couldn't get through due to his armor. Lucius then remembers his mother's words, which then gave him the motivation he needed. Immediately, he chops off Macrinus's left arm before slashing him into two. Afterwards, Lucius met Ravi and then addresses both armies, convincing them to no longer fight senselessly. He stated no more blood as that was his father's dreams. They began to put their swords away and chant in agreement. Later that evening, Lucius goes into the arena by himself and kneels into the sands. He speaks to Maximus as he mourns both his parents. The movie then came to an end. Kindly subscribe for more latest recap like this. Thanks for watching and goodbye.